Well, the cost of the migrants in Chicago is $1.5 million a day, while the city continues to process migrants and extending the 60-day limits they can stay in shelters, giving them resources to get work permits and food, 300,000 meals a week provided by the city of Chicago to non-citizen migrants. You've got people on the street frustrated. They feel that they're being looked over. And even the polling numbers of Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson not doing so well when it comes to the migrant issue. But there's been some interesting back and forth between, of course, Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. So let's go ahead and jump into the back and forth yesterday. But of course, you got the governor who's blaming the Texas governor for the migrant issue impacting Illinois.
Well, it's unfortunate that the governor of Texas is sending thousands of migrants to the city of Chicago. That is where they think they're going. That is where they expect to be arriving, not in Elmhurst, not in other suburbs, but in the city of Chicago.
So we'll hear more from what the mayor is saying, and as far as he wants migrants to be transported outside of Chicago to other places in Illinois. And the mayor making that statement last week, and the governor saying, well, listen, I mean, a lot of the resources are in Chicago, but he still points to the Texas governor as being at fault here. But what about the deal that seems to be coming together in Congress? Governor Pritzker indicating that it's Republicans who are holding it up.
I think it's a sad fact that the Republicans are walking away from the table when they've got the deal that they wanted on the table. And the fact that they're walking away just tells you that this was all about politics from day one.
So the governor saying that, the deal's the deal and they need that deal in order to address the border situation. But that deal comes with what? Amnesty, a whole bunch of money for Ukraine. I don't know why those two are tied together, but still it's something that doesn't really look like it's going to make it through the U.S. House, even if it was to get bipartisan support in the U.S. Senate. But to the idea of moving migrants out of Chicago, as Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has hinted at needs to happen. Here's the governor.
There is shelter and services, but the major and majority part of what's necessary needs to be in the city of Chicago. And we have been supporting the city of Chicago with literally tens of millions of dollars directly, as well as hundreds of millions of dollars indirectly.
So the governor also being asked about the appearance of a conflict between he and the Chicago mayor.
Do you feel that you and the mayor are on a different page on the migrant thing? There's a lot of kind of back and forth between you.
I know that it all gets amplified in the media. The reality is we literally, our senior staffs are sitting at the table every day, no exaggeration, every day with the county, I might add. And we have had meetings between the mayor, the county board president, and me to make sure that we're on the same page. So, we're getting a lot done.
So the governor saying they're getting a lot done, and trying to downplay any, appearance of conflict between the mayor and the governor. But you also have others in the Democratic Party saying that the Democratic National Convention should not come to Chicago until the federal government gives Chicago resources to deal with the ongoing migrant crisis. And Governor Pritzker being asked about that prospect that's floated by Chicago State Representative Cam Buckner, who wrote in the Chicago Tribune recently that the city should deny the DNC. Again, this is a Democrat saying deny the DNC coming to Chicago until the federal government gives us money. The governor reacting to that sentiment.
Why have the DNC even come here? When you have someone within your own party saying that, there's got to be some worry.
I think the reality is he's just trying to find any leverage in order to get the federal government to put in the resources that are required here. I approve of the idea of getting the federal government to do what it needs to do, but we're going to have a fabulous Democratic National Convention here, and we are going to provide for the migrants that are coming to the city of Chicago. The city, the county, and the state are working together to make sure that happens.
So clearly a lot more resources going to be needed. Haven't heard the governor explicitly say, let's just close the border. Instead, he talks about the deal that Congress is trying to put together that could include amnesty and more work permits and a whole host of other things, including money for Ukraine. But what about just closing the border? What about getting the National Guard from Illinois, from Texas, from Florida to help seal the border? and all the questions that there are about who's coming across, possible terror suspects coming across, and so on. But Mayor Johnson yesterday held a news conference announcing that they are going to be delaying the 60-day deadline for people to move out of shelters in Chicago. He also laid out all of the resources that are being spent, 300,000 meals a week, $1.5 million a day cost. And he says it's not sustainable. That's why they need federal help. But here's the mayor kind of laying out all of what's happened so far, including the thousands of people being assisted by Chicago to get work permits who are here as non-citizen migrants.
Look, the state of Illinois and the county, to their credit, have appropriated dollars, for this mission. What I've said repeatedly is that this is not sustainable. It's not. And so the federal government has to lean in. Now, as far as what we do, because the costs are $1.5 million conservatively a day, we're going to have to push the federal government to do its part because we have limitations. That's all we have right now.
So is the city trying to say that you are pulling back on your plans, you're not going to open any more shelters, and that's it?
Our plan is still the same, to build an operation that's centered around people's humanity. And just keep in mind, I just hope you all hear this. There's nowhere else in the world that's doing it like this. Nowhere else in this country. And the only reason why I'm lifting that up is because as hard as we are working to address this crisis, it would be nice to have some partners outside of the state of Illinois and at the federal level to help us. You have faith leaders, philanthropic leaders, the business community, government, all doing something that has never been done before. And quite frankly, it is not designed to do. It's just not. So this is an evolving mission. We're working hard every single day to continue to advocate for resources. Many of you all know that I've spoken with mayors from other surrounding cities. The governor, the state of Illinois has offered $40 million for other municipalities. Remember that, you all? Remember when he offered that? And then remember he offered another $11 million? So we know that it can't just be the city of Chicago. Everybody knows that. But we're going to do the very best that we can to drive this mission and to challenge people to step up.
So obviously the mayor demanding help from the federal government, saying that needs to go outside of Chicago to other municipalities across the state, saying there's millions of dollars the state's offered in grants. People don't really seem to be taking that up. But clearly this, again, is a mounting issue, a humanitarian issue, a taxpayer issue, and I don't see much being mitigated before the November 2024 election. We'll watch that as it continues to impact the state of Illinois. It is Bishop on Air. Appreciate you guys being here each and every weekday morning. So you can like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and follow along with us as we broadcast each and every weekday morning across the internet, from YouTube to Rumble to X to Facebook and beyond. All right. Again, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. All right.